And here we are.
Better
I shut the countdown down early. I red lit right there. I just red lit.
Sometimes that happens.
I was ready. I was ready. Oh, I got excited. I was like, okay, I gotta go. Dude, literally my internet was like not working. And then I'm like, okay, it's still down. Spectrum's like, there's maintenance in your area. I'm like, okay, about to send you a message. And I send you the link because it comes back on. I'm like, hey. So if this all goes sideways because Spectrum internet dies.
Well, it may go sideways.
I can't help it.
Because poor little Nash D got they give babies their flu shot in 2 doses now.
Yeah.
First dose, he did okay. This dose has not gone as well. So at any it worked out. He's fortunately down for a nap right now, but at any moment he could not be down for a nap and I could be gone. So time's up here.
There you go. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our time on the regularly scheduled Tuesday. So from here on out, every other Tuesday will be Triple B. Last week you were a double podcast Tuesday as you started the show with Stevie.
Yep.
And the Shake and Bake show went good, dude. It was awesome.
Yeah, it went good. It had tons of views for the first one, which I thought was good. Stevie has a pretty significant following on YouTube, which makes a difference. So I thought the first one went well.
Oh yeah, it was fun for sure. I watched or listened. You know, there was some of it where I wasn't watching, but I was listening. Had it going in the background, so it was good for sure. To everybody that joined in last week and who is here now, thank you. McTaggart in the house, Barn, of course, Neil Sabo, everybody. Dragster Jeff Kreider in the house, saying Lyle Barnett, Father of the Year. So Barn is asking, is that every other Tuesday starting this week or next? Smart ass. Every other week starting this week.
Right.
So there you go.
Normal schedule right now.
Yes. Yes, we are on the normal schedule right now. So we're also I'm going to ask those guys and girls that are out there, anybody that's a graphic artist that's out there, please hit me up, chat@bangshift.com. I have some logo ideas and some other stuff for some Triple B stuff, and I'm ready to do a pre-order for a first round of t-shirts and what have you. But I want to nail down some logo stuff. So if there's anybody out there who wants to be of assistance, that would be awesome. So hit me up and we'll rock and roll from there. So I had an exciting couple of days. And I say this because last week, there's so much stuff going on and we get so spoiled by everything. So we think that everything, that we should know every single thing that's going on everywhere at all times because of the internet.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that sometimes stuff in your own backyard is happening and you don't even have a clue about it. In this case, that's how it went with me. So in West Texas, which is not an area, but a city, okay, or a town, I guess is more appropriate. The town of West Texas, which is south of Waxahachie, is a killer little town. It's very well known for having awesome Czech bakeries and stuff there and really yummy treats. But it also has this old place that I didn't know anything about because I've driven by it a couple of times, but it's, but I haven't lived here for long enough, or in that area especially. But it's an old car restoration place that had their own on-site wrecking yard, if you will. The old dude that owned it was retiring. And so they had an auction, and it was 3 days, okay, of auction. 3 full days of auction. And it turns out that apparently a lot of car people around here did not know about this. But the auction company, to give you an indication. So there were cars. And when I say cars, I'm talking a couple of 100 cars that were auctioned. There was all the memorabilia you could ever imagine, all the gas station signs and all that kind of stuff. an insane amount of Tri-5 Chevy stuff, including cars and parts and what have you. But there was so much stuff at this place that had been amassed for so long that the auction company spent 8 weeks organizing what was there. 8 weeks. So there was so much stuff that, yeah, like literally 1,500 lots. So 1,500 individual things were auctioned. But when I say individual things, like there were so many hubcaps that there was no way to organize all the hubcaps. So there were pallets of hubcaps. Like literally they would fill a box on a pallet. When it was full, hubcap box number 1, right? Boxes and boxes of stainless trim for Tri-5 Chevys and stuff. I mean, unreal. So I had 2 friends who mentioned it and I didn't know about it until they did. Went down there. One of them was Wickman. And so Wickman isn't even on today, but he of course calls me morning of and goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm at the auction, dude. You sent me the auction. I'm at the auction." And he's like, "Oh, then buy these cars for me." I'm like, what? Literally bid on these cars for me. I'm like, okay, well, I have a little bit of money in my pocket, but I don't know. We'll see what they go for, you know? So anyway, and then my buddy Ryan Wing from Streetcar Chronicles, he was there too because he has a 55 Chevy race car that he just got. So he was needing some parts. I did bid on like 6 or 7 items, let's say. But my favorite thing in the entire auction was the fact that Ryan had never been to an auction before. He was scared. I've been to a jillion livestock auctions and equipment auctions and car auctions. And I've been at auctions my whole life. But he was so scared, like that he would even just like lift his arm up to scratch his head and they'd think he was bidding on something. I'm like, they tell you that to scare the shit out of you, but that's not really the way it works. Like, it's okay, you know? So I bought a cabinet. Actually, it's an old library cabinet with the drawers that you won't even remember this, Lyle. You're too young. Back in the day, you used to have to go in the library and open these these drawers that were like yay wide, and they would be 18 inches deep. They'd be full of these little paper cards that would have numbers on them and stuff to help you find where shit was in the library. Okay. And using a system called the Dewey Decimal System. But anyway, so those cabinets are hard to find. They're super heavy duty because they had like 40 pounds of paper in each drawer, right? So they're great to use for nuts and bolt drawers in your shop. So I bought one of those. So he watches me buy this thing and he's like, "Oh, okay, that's good. That's no big deal." So we're in the line of cars then. It's like 11 o'clock in the morning, something like that by this time. Me and mom and dad went. Mom and dad and I had been there since 8 a.m. We're sitting there like, Ryan is wanting to bid on some stuff, wanting to bid on this stuff, and he was getting an extra chassis for a 55 that was sitting there. I said, "It'll go cheap." I said, "Dude, bid on it." Well, he's all nervous and stuff, and I'm standing there next to him, and literally I'm about to raise my hand to go a hundo, okay, on the thing just to get it started because he's standing there, he ain't doing nothing, and he's standing just barely in front of me, and all of a sudden he's like, $100. And I'm like, "There you go, big dog. He's in." And so I think he got this thing for like $175 or something like that. But dude, he was so giddy like a little kid, like he had just bought $100,000 car at Barrett Jackson. It was awesome. So that was fun. And we had a good time up there. I bid on, I am a little bit disappointed in myself on one car. I had one car I actually liked and wanted, like for real. I bid on several 56s and stuff. And when I say bid on them, these things went for there were a few things that went for like $500. And then a lot of things that went for $1,000 to $1,200. And then stuff that went, more than that, up to, let's say, $2,000 or so for like a hardtop car or whatever. All of these are like rusty old 50s, Chevy cars. The one that I am kicking myself a little bit. It's a 58 Chevy 4-door. All the trim was there. Everything was there. It had no rust through anywhere in the car. The patina on it was epic. Biggin would have loved it. It was all there. And a 58 Chevy's just a bitchin' big cruiser car. I bid the thing up to 1,000. Dude went to 1,100. I could tell he wanted it. And I was afraid, like I thought, God, you know what? I'd pay $1,200 for this thing or whatever, but I think this dude is going to, keep bidding it up, and there's no reason to bid it up and cost him more money. If he's really going to want this thing, I may bid it up to 1,500, but I don't need to own this deal. So all I'm going to do is cost him money. So I backed out of it, but man, it's a cool deal. It's a neat car, but so I do regret that one a little bit, although I still think the guy would have probably ended up with it. But yeah, it was cool for sure. So, also before I forget, Barn has the no prep list in progress. Barn, put a link in the description or in the chat, or send it to me and I can put it in there if it won't let you, Barn, but it should, because you're an admin. So the auction was cool. It was fun. I had a good time. I was, like I said, I wished we'd, done or, got more stuff or whatever, but it was cool. But we left like mid-afternoon because it was still going. It was taking forever. The first day they needed to do 602 items, and they started at 10 a.m. Well, 602 items, dude, to do the maths is easy, right? So 1 minute per item would have made it 10 hours. Well, dude, like you can't auction off a car in 1 minute. I mean, you could, but they weren't. Right. And so we left at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it went until like 7 in the dark. They were auctioning cars still. It was like, yeah, it was crazy, but it was neat. So now people are bashing on the 4-doors, but McTaggart's right. There's nothing wrong with a 4-door. A 58 Chevy just cruiser, it would have been awesome. So, Nicholas Richards. Okay, I will hit you up. Thank you, Nick. And Barn, okay, put a link up to livedragracing.com. Now I can put it up there. So Barn is putting up a complete no prep drag racing list and drag and drive events list on livedragracing.com. Lyle doesn't know this, but if you go to livedragracing.com, MacFab Performance Beadlocks on there as a sponsor.
Yeah.
The logo is up along with 190 Hookup, racingjunk.com, Motormania TV, and of course bangshift.com. So head on over to livedragracing.com. If you have an addition to the list that you would like made, you can click on contact and send them an email at admin@livedragracing.com. So that is Barnes' website. He has been posting up live streams for drag races for a long time, but now he's going for the lists of these events as well. So it's going to be awesome. So big thanks to him. Okay. So what have you been up to? What was this weekend like for the Lyles?
It was full of excitement. No, not really. So my dad's birthday was last week. So I went into MacFab last week to work at the shop and took Nash with me, and he bounced back and forth between his grandparents' houses. Melissa came into town in the weekend. We had a birthday celebration for Dad over the weekend back home, and really didn't do a whole lot. I was not going to the U.S. Street Nationals, and then I got a call that a car was available, and then I would be going, and now I'm not going again. So it doesn't look like I am going to race at the U.S. Street Nationals at all, which sucks, but it is what it is. I am still slated to run the World Series of Pro Mod, obviously. And then I actually talked to Randy Meyer today. We have a couple options as far as running some A-Fuel races. Nothing set in stone yet, so really nothing to announce other than I will be driving one of Randy Meyer's A-Fuel dragsters in the coming months. We're still in the process of getting beer money back together. I'm just not able to be at Pete's and Biggins as much as I would like with all that we've got going on. So Hopefully by sometime at the end of February, we'll have it ready. MacFab will be at South Georgia Motorsports Park for lights out, doing beadlocks on site. So we are ramping up and preparing for that. We are taking, I guess you would say, appointments or starting a list. We're going to try to do somewhere between 20 and 25 sets while we're there. No more. It just becomes too much for the guys. And while we're there to work, we want them to be able to enjoy the races as well. So we try not to just overwhelm them for the most part. But if you want to get your wheels beadlocked while we're at South Georgia, we'll be there doing them. You need to get on the list. It's starting to fill up. If you do not get on the list and you are just able to drop your wheels off, if we pick them up while we're there, we will ship them back to you for free.
And what weekend is that race at South Georgia?
The end of February, I think. I can't pull up my calendar because it'll shut me off of here. But
yeah,
I think it's the 26th.
I believe so as well. Yeah. I'll look at and pull it up here in just a second. The other deal that people are asking about, I want to make sure we talk about also is for this year is going to be the new Factory X, as Thomas is calling it.
Yeah, I think that's probably getting Lonnie Grimm maybe as a guest on here. He's super in tune with that deal. So I know that it's on a 10.5 tire. It's steel roof and quarter, but it's full tube chassis type cars that are going to run somewhere in the is what they suspect. So
yeah, and I can tell you that I actually was having a conversation with Matt DeYoung yesterday, who's the new Division 7 tech director for or Division 7 director for NHRA, and he's going to be on the show too. So the two of those guys have worked closely together a lot. We have done a ton of events together, the three of us. So I may just try and get them both on for our next show in 2 weeks. I think that would be great. I know there's a lot of interest in that class. I think it's going to be fun. The truth of the matter is, I know that class is like a departure for NHRA, and people are like all excited because it's this, sort of evolution from factory stock. But the truth of the matter is, those cars are just getting to be more of the normal race car that we're used to seeing racing in, X275 and everything else. So
right.
it's kind of, I know that sounds funny, but it really, that's the look of those cars, and the truth is, I think that there are more chassis builders who, are building what I'm going to call contemporary race cars, contemporary small tire race cars already, that will get pulled into building those cars as opposed to them being built just by the traditional NHRA chassis shops.
I know of several chassis builders. I know of several of your mainstream and professional teams that are going to have a car fielded in that class. So if it maintains the traction it has now, it could be a big deal. I know and it's all rumor, obviously, but I've heard straight from the horse's mouth on a couple that there are a couple big name teams that will be fielding a car in that class.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I know this is going to sound funny, but I have a feeling that this could, because of the number of, like you said, other pro teams, like let's just say a Top Fuel team or a Funny Car team who are also wanting to field one of these cars. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of interest in that. It's weird because this could end up ultimately, if it just motored along like we hope, it could be the thing that Pro Mod hasn't been with NHRA drag racing at this point, as far as, really being embraced by all of the pro categories. So I don't know. It could be interesting. It's going to be fun to watch. That's for sure.
I've had a couple questions, I guess, from people who maybe haven't watched the shows. But speaking of NHRA Pro Mod, as of now, I will not field a car in NHRA Pro Mod. I did not re-sign with Elite. I had a great run there. We had a lot of great success together. And I can't thank Richard Freeman and everybody enough there for my time there, but they are not fielding a car in the NHRA Pro Mod this year. And as of now, I don't have any plans to run it unless I drive for somebody and cameo here and there. It sucks and I'm going to miss it for sure. But should the things that we have in the works work out, it could be a big deal for what we've got coming in 23. So no announcements we can make yet, but I'm not completely out of the realm that is NHRA yet. I think that there could be some big stuff coming, but we just don't yet. It's still silly season for somebody like myself, so we'll just have to see.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think that this year, I mean, you and I obviously have had conversations that we're not going to have with all the people here, but that's not to exclude you guys from stuff. There's just a lot of things in the works, but I believe, and I'll tell you guys this out there in the public, I believe that this is going to be the year you're going to see Lyle actually drive more cars than you've ever seen before. I think that Lyle is going to be in a variety of Pro Mod cars, a couple of different dragsters, beer money, some other, no prep, no time style cars, etc. Again, I believe that this honestly could be the year where you could see him drive a dozen different race cars this year.
I'll path truck here in a few weeks in South Georgia as well. So
right. Speaking of which, did you see the 1320 video of the Red Rum OBS Chevy pickup with all four wheels off the ground? Dude, that truck is so nice anyway. It's just beautiful. Like, it's really well done. It's showy and awesome. But to see that thing go out there and just stand up, and it did the weirdest like hop up in the air when it did it. It wasn't the normal just, get itself up off of there. It did this hop deal, and it was fun for sure to see. So I'm glad it wasn't hurt, but we'll see. But yeah, Scott saying Warpath, that is the truck that you are going to be driving. Any changes to that thing?
Nothing really, just some updates. That thing had a ride height sensor malfunction in the finals there in Georgia when Brad was driving it. And when it came down, it broke both the wastegates or the blow off valves off the charge pipes. And so it's got just nothing, no improvement. It didn't need any improvement. That thing's plenty fast the way it is. But no, nothing new really. You won't be able to tell any difference, running up and down the racetrack for sure.
Yeah.
But I do hear the rumblings of Nash D. So we'll get to the question. You had texted me earlier about something that is getting on my nerves.
Yeah.
This week, it is people claiming records while testing.
Oh.
And
dude.
I just, I got in a debacle with a team a few years ago, a limited drag radial team, when there were all these ghost or phantom numbers coming out of Steele, Alabama. And that's a great racetrack, but there were a bunch of times being ran down there at test sessions that teams were claiming records, and in some cases they were the only ones in the gates. And like, come on, man, if you make a good run, what would have been the record or something, that's cool. But when you're down there testing by yourself, there's nobody else there, no way to verify that you're in trim. There's stop claiming records during testing. It's I hate it.
I do too. And I'll tell you, here's the problem. And this is why this is so prevalent. And it's unbelievable that you put this up, because this is on my list of, I had 3 possible things. This is on the list. So I'm going to use NHRA as as the example, right? So you have NHRA or IHRA or NMCA or PDRA or whatever. Records for the classes that run in those sanctioning bodies can only be set at one of their events, right? That's how that works. And that's how it's always been for records forever in drag racing, until you started getting into, and this has been years ago now, but you started getting into all of these classes that run regardless of sanctioning body that are sort of their own deal, right? Like the, the whole X275 world, right? So you may put on, Chad's drag race and invite X275 to be there as a points race, or LDR as a points or whatever, right? And it doesn't have to follow the sanctioning body, at which point there could be a group of guys out there racing in that class that have to be, X legal or LDR legal or whatever. And they're going for, going for it, of course, and they set a record, quote unquote, by running the number. Well, again, in any other sanctioning body kind of circumstance, that wouldn't be allowed. But because the class is independent of a sanctioning body, it sort of became the norm. So then at that point, is it only in competition? Do there have to be 3 or more people there to test it? Like, you know what I mean? Now it's this gray area. So I agree with you, but I understand sort of how it evolved to that. And so now everybody goes, oh yeah, we ran the record. We ran like, well, no,
A thing when we started breaking, through the thresholds of, when the first drag radio car to run a 3, and then it was a 380, and then it was a 370, and then we went 60s, 50s, and now 40s, and everybody wants to be the first to do something or the fastest here and the fastest there, and they'll go to extreme lengths, renting racetracks and all these things when they think they can make it happen, and in my opinion, if you didn't go through tech, somebody like John Sears, somebody didn't check the right blower and you were at the right weight, and there weren't, a handful of the other cars there taking advantage of the same air. And I don't, to go on there and claim and show that you ran some stout number is awesome, but going on there and claiming the new X275 or Pro 275 or the new LDR or Radio versus the World record is just, in my opinion, for people who may be contemplating or on the fence about running said class, when you are testing somewhere by yourself and you go in there and run, and congratulations that your program is, up to par and speed enough to do that. But you may run some of these people off that were going to come support at the very next race, like in a couple of weeks at the U.S. Street Nationals down at Bradenton. Like, to show that you can run a number at a test session is one thing. To claim a record is another. So,
I agree wholeheartedly. And I think that one thing too that's missing, from this equation, and you, I think, know this, but bracket racers like that race at big races, they know this for sure. But like at every NHRA national event and any big money bracket race at any of those things, sometimes every morning, but at least at the beginning of the event, they check rollout on the starting line to make sure that the beams are where they're supposed to be. That they're not 9 or 10 inches apart instead of 8. All of those things are checked. Everything is verified. Like all the distances are verified so that if a record is set, it's correct, right? Because if I move the second, the stage beam out 2 inches, let's say, which would be insane, but let's say 2 inches, then, the ET, that is going to affect the ET. Okay. If I moved the mile-an-hour cone closer to the finish line, okay, then it's going to say that my mile an hour is way faster because I covered what's supposed to be a bigger distance in the less time, right? So all of those things matter. And if you don't, if you don't make sure those things are right, then you can't really, you can't say that whatever number is given. And I'm not saying that as a dig on whatever racetrack anybody's at and saying their timing system is, shit or something like that. I'm just saying that if you want those things to be real, then everything has to be verified, because it's one thing if you beat a record by 1/10 of a second, but we're talking about thousands here. And so if thousandths of a second matter to get the record or whatever, then every other detail needs to be right. Scott Malpass says, if Brett Kepner isn't making a big deal of it about it on Facebook, it didn't happen. Oh, that's God. So, okay. And James McKeon, this is an absolute truth. I remember the days when you rented a track, ran a number, and did your best to not let anyone find out till the next major event. Nope. Nowadays, it's brag, brag, brag instead of hide it and show up and whoop everybody's ass, Yep. Doug DeLay says he knows where there's a Pro Mod for sale and it's got twin turbos on it.
Turbo Pro Mod Racing, Doug.
JJ Fig says claiming records during testing is like playing with yourself is having sex.
Fair enough.
That's awesome. All right. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to talk about this week was the season coming up, everything that's going on. Encourage everybody. I've been talking to a bunch of racetracks. I have meetings with a local racetrack on Friday of this week. We are still talking to sponsors and what have you, working on my event, but I've been talking to promoters and racetracks a bunch. And I just want to say, get out there and go to your racetracks. Okay. Get online, go find out what racetracks are having what events. There is a lot going on right now, and we'd love to see you guys out at the racetracks supporting your local racetracks. So please be good about that. Go and check out their schedules. Go out there on a Thursday night, right? Instead of going to happy hour with your buddies at a local bar, go to the racetrack and have a couple of beers.
Yeah. Sit on the tailgate.
Yeah. I mean, come on. And, the other part about it is that, that racetracks, and this is something I recently had a conversation with the racetrack about this. So racetracks are only making money when they're open. Okay. And if they're closed, 6 days a week, then that means the 7th day of the week they have to use to make all their money. Right. But the truth of the matter is, depending on where your racetrack is, there can be other things you can go do, okay, at that racetrack that will help them make money. And a lot of your racetracks are going to be really cool about it. So like if you have a car club and you have 50 guys in your car club or whatever, and you do a regular meeting, make it once a month be at the racetrack, right? You don't need to go down the racetrack. Just meet up there, right? Hang out in the pits kind of deal. They only need to have one guy open the gate to let you in. You guys can sit around and drink beer and talk about your cars and do whatever you normally would in the Kroger parking lot, but do it at the drag strip. Throw them $100 or whatever, be supportive, do photos, for Instagram and Facebook and what have you, help promote the racetrack, do those kinds of things. The other thing is, I had a racetrack that just told me that they have recently been contacted by some remote control car enthusiasts, not only RC drag racing guys, but also just RC car guys in general that are used to racing on, asphalt or concrete, parking lots, and that they're wanting to come out and use it. Well, it's funny because if you're not used to being at California Speedway in Southern California, you wouldn't know this, but they're at the facility until they recently shut down the drag strip on the north side of the track. There was the drag strip, there's go-kart racing, there's multiple autocross lots where they run autocross, and a big RC car racing facility that has been put up in the last few years there, which is really cool. And so again, the more stuff, the better. You're having a family reunion, do it at the drag strip, whatever. So whatever you can do to support them, please do so. It means a lot to everybody. So Adam Hanna on, he says, yes, autocross in a paddock, or the pits, as we call them at the drag strip.
With the drag strips closer to the cities that are on real estate that's worth a lot of money to some investor that's going to make them a housing development, it sounds a lot more appealing to the drag strip owner to take the $3 or $4 million from them when the track may be worth $1.5 million to $2 million, as opposed to continuing to beat their head against the wall trying to make the $10,000 or whatever it takes on a Thursday night, to keep that place open every week. So don't complain when they start shutting down if you're the one sitting at home and not supporting them on a test and 2 night. So it's becoming, we're dealing with it right here at home right now with a couple of tracks that are their door is being beat down by investors to turn it into something that is very, very, very far from a racetrack. So you can't be mad at the track owners and stuff for selling out when they're losing money trying to keep it open so that you can go there whenever you just kind of feel like it. They're open every Thursday hoping you'll come, and you're going to be mad when they're not open anymore. So keep that in mind.
Absolutely. And, we're talking about drag races because that's, our big passion. But, the same goes for if there's a road course near you or a facility that normally runs autocross events, go out there. Yep. Even if you're not racing, go spectate. Whatever, your local circle track, your local dirt track, go hang out. If you've not been to, I was just talking about the Chili Bowl with some guys the other day. If you've never been to a dirt circle track race, whether it's, winged sprint cars, which is what I grew up with, or dirt late models or whatever, you're missing out, dude. I mean, there is a whole group of people in this world that believe that the only way to properly drink beer is if it has dirt sprinkled on the top. That's right. And it's rad. Like, it is super fun to go watch sprint cars or dirt late models or, IMCA modifieds or any of those cars run. It's badass. It's fun racing. You sit there in the grandstands with your friends and talk shit and say, I like the red one, and have a good time. You don't need to know anything except that dude's leading right there. And it just might be the thing you fall in love with. So, so do it for sure. Texas Precision Performance, Aaron Spitzer in the house. Aaron and I had been texting back and forth earlier. 410s to the front. He's talking about, if you're not into sprint cars, you don't know that that a 410 Sprint is an aluminum small block Chevrolet, traditional small block, with a 18 or now I think 15 degree cylinder head on them. But it's an all aluminum small block Chevrolet, 410 cubic inches. They run like 9,000 RPM. Do what?
On alcohol.
Yeah, on alcohol. They are loud in all the right ways. They are super duper fun. They are just bitching to watch run around the racetrack. Them and midgets, they got, the front end in the air going down the back stretch and the front stretch. They are cool because they pitch them into the corner, which is when they lift off the throttle, the thing sets the nose down and flicks itself sideways. When it's sideways in the corner, they wood the thing and it stays sideways the whole time. They actually back off the throttle a tiny bit coming off the corner, and that hooks the thing up, and they roll back in the throttle and just wheel stand them all the way down the stretch until they get there and blip out of them to set the nose back down. They're badass, and they are moving the wheel like madmen the whole time. It's really, really cool. So, again, support racing in general. Mike Copeland in the house from Arrington Performance as well. Hey, Mikey. There's a lot of stuff going on, folks, and I'm gonna beat you up about it every single week that we're on. Again, we're on every other week starting today. Every other Tuesday, we're going to be live at 2:30 Central, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30, I guess that is, on the West Coast. And we're going to beat you up about going to your racetracks all year long. Like, this is really important to us. We want to make sure that you guys are not only coming out and hanging out with us at the races and that we're telling you about our adventures, but you guys are going out there and taking care of your local racetracks as well. So Neil says he thought dirt was a condiment on hamburgers.
I'll have a more formal setup. I wasn't planning to be here, but with Nash being sick, who I've got to go attend to, it didn't work out this week. He's under the weather from his flu shot, if you missed the beginning of the show. So he's just not feeling himself. And at 7 months old, he doesn't know why. So having to do the daddy thing. Melissa is up now. She has to work tonight. But anyway, so
yeah,
you can continue on. From here on out, they'll be longer than 30 minutes, but I got to go in here and do the thing. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. Chadwick, be good. Cuss as much as you can. Drink beer. Shoots out, visors down.
See you later, Lyles. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Lyle doing daddy duty, like I said, and little Nash D doing good. So poor bugger, he's not feeling himself, but that kid is hilarious. He is so much fun, and always smiling and happy, and Christmas, like cardboard. This is awesome. I don't know about the toys, but the cardboard was great. So he'll be good, but appreciate the support, you guys, for sure. We got just a little bit of time left here. We were scheduled for an hour today. We're right at 50 minutes or getting close to it. So if anybody has any questions, now's the time in the chat. Feel free, rattle off whatever questions you guys have, and we'll get I'll get to them and see what we can answer. Max Mortimer in the house. How's the house coming along? Haven't touched the house yet. Still working on the shop. Very, very, very slow, unfortunately, but we're working on it. Things are moving along slowly but surely. So that's a good thing. Randy Young in the house. Everybody that is out here in the chat this week. Mike Cunningham here, Rodney Mason, of course. Thank you for joining us. Really do appreciate it. Also, want to remind you that, right now, we're talking about going to the racetrack. The other thing is, I know that people are kind of worried about the economy right now. People have been worried about, oh, should I spend this money or what have you? I've literally seen only very minor indicators with any of the aftermarket companies that things have slowed down. Yes, some of the things have slowed down a little compared to, the craziness of, 2021, 2022. But if you look at the growth of our market from, 2017, 18, 19, it's still doing this and looking good. But unfortunately, we still have, delays in getting, parts and tools and what have you, right? The supply chain is still slow. So I'm bringing that up because you got to prep a little bit earlier than normal. So if you're waiting on parts, or you're going to need to order parts in order to get your racing season going, or to make it on Power Tour or whatever cruise you're doing, then, make sure that you're ordering those things now. Hit up your manufacturers and check on what their lead times are. Jeremy Bonnet, no, I am not going on sick week. I do not believe. I was not I was not asked back. And I'm not saying like I wasn't like, don't come. But there was I think there was some miscommunication going on with the team there. Adam and I, neither one had been approached about coming back to the event. And then literally just this last week, there was some contact apparently with Adam. But I've not talked to anybody, and really with all the stuff I've got going on, I'm really leaning towards just not going. So sorry, Neil, I saw that too. I meant to call you about that, but I'll, unless something changes this week, at this point, no. Texas Precision Performance, aka Aaron Spitzer, is saying that pro gears are a big issue right now. So if you are looking for pro gears for your build, obviously you can hit up Texas Precision Performance. He can build all your 9-inch needs, etc. But pro gears may be hard to come by, so keep that in mind. Let's see. Lycan says, okay, so Lycan is talking about racetracks near San Jose, California. And the truth of the matter is there's not that many that are right there in the San Jose area. But any of my San Jose peeps that can reach out to Lycan, hit him up and let him know. Yes, pistons and crankshafts are still terrible on lead time. Depends on where you're going and what you're looking for. I will tell you this. So here's one big thing on the lead times. Like a lot of companies like Molly, for example, have pistons on the shelf that they always have on the shelf and have had on the shelf and have not had a problem with getting them. But like I do have a particular friend who's a nitrous guy who couldn't find pistons or couldn't get pistons from his normal manufacturer. Let's call them Piston Company A. And instead of just getting some pistons that would work from Piston Company B, he missed out on months and months of racing, which sucked. And the truth of the matter is that the difference in the pistons that were shelf pistons versus what he had was literally like 1 cc less dome. They were still gas ported. There's still all the stuff that he needs. So it was, sometimes guys were getting picky and going, oh, this is what I use, instead of, using something else that would have gotten them through while still having the parts on order from your normal manufacturer. So I don't know. Let's see. Chad, will Bang Shift be live streaming any bracket races in 2023? Yes. We are going to be live streaming along with Warren Evans at Drag Racer TV. We are going to be bringing you all the live streaming action from the Spring Fling Million in Las Vegas. So that is coming up in April. We also are going to be live streaming West Coast bracket races from Tucson as well. So they don't even know that yet, but they want me to do them, and I am going to. So there is lots going on. We are going to have, we're going to be having several races that we're going to be live streaming this year, along with obviously Drag and Drive events, all the Rocky Mountain events, and my own event, and some other stuff too. So, and Brent Sansucci says, yeah, it sucks, but loyalty is a dying trait these days. That is true. And I'm not saying to abandon the company that you always use, but keep that order in with them, right? You've already ordered from them. Leave that order going and then get something off the shelf to make your stuff work in the meantime. And when the part comes in that you love, put that in the car, you know? Aaron is asking if I'm going to be doing any Drag and Drive events as a participant. Well, I originally was wanting to do Sick Week as a participant this year, but just not going to happen. There's just no way. I shouldn't say that. There is a way, and it involves me spending money I have no business spending. So not. But yes, my plan is to do a couple of different Drag and Drive events this year. Probably a couple of the short ones, and then one or two of the longer ones. So we'll be doing some. Alan, they will not be called the Bang Shift Nationals. My event will not be, there will be no Bang Shift other than the live stream. My business partners are incredibly risk averse, and they do not want their name on a event because they're afraid we'll get sued. So I've had the opportunity to have our name on events for 10 years and have not been able to do so with them. So this will be a Chad Reynolds production. So let's see. Oh, remember, if you are, if you have an event, whether it's a no prep race or a Drag and Drive event, something you want to promote, livedragracing.com, go to livedragracing.com, and hit the contact button. You can send that up to Barn. And he is admin at livedragracing.com, and he will get you on the schedule on the website there. Let's see. Yeah, the March meet is coming up this year. Of course, you know, it should be bigger than ever. It's always an amazing event. March 3rd, 4th, and 5th. The March meet will be back at Famoso Raceway. There's tons of stuff going on, folks. The amount of racing is insane. Like, we've had a couple of weeks sort of off because of Christmas and what have you, but racing is about to go nuts. So, you know, that's why today I, you know, really jumping on everybody, go support your drag races because it is going to be nuts. Chris Costanza, what part of Texas am I in? I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So Waxahachie is the area where we have our property. There's lots of great areas all around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I personally, I love San Antonio. I think it's the best city, or one of the best cities in Texas. But weather-wise, man, if you get Austin and south, it gets real humid and yuck. And Houston's just gross. So I don't know. I would never want to live there. It's just like the air, you can chew it. It's just not good. But there are a lot of great racetracks here, Chris Costanza. Okay, any other questions, folks, before we cut this one short for today? Again, really do appreciate everybody tuning in. I know that it was weird because we had one last week and one this week, but we told you we were going to do every other week. Well, that again was just so that we can get to, you know, get to where we are, you know, doing every other week in a staggered setup with Lyle's other deal with the Shake and Bake show with Stevie. So this one will go on, you know, this week. Next week, we have the Power Shift show, which is on Thursdays. So every week there will be a podcast of some kind with me going on, and I'm actually working on adding one, maybe two more. But Lyle and I will be every other week from here on out. We are going to do some special live editions of the show on location as well. So that's going to be coming up as we head into the race season. So no worries on that. Nicholas Richards, I'm going to hit you up on the RMRWers page for sure, and we'll go from there. But to the rest of you, seriously, thank you so much for tuning in. We do appreciate it. It's a tough time for a lot of folks this time of year. I can tell you that there are a lot of folks that, are struggling all the time, and whether it's emotional or financial, this time of year can be a tough one. But tell everybody that you love them, and tell people they're doing good. It's way easier to be nice than it is to be a dick. So let's not be a dick anymore. We've had that for too much going on, and we don't want to see any of that. Ryan Campbell, there are Northern California drag and drive events coming. The Run to the Redwoods, I'm going to say it wrong, but there is a drag and drive event in Northern California that is happening. So no, not anything with Freiberger. He's way too busy, Alan. Okay, if your name is Dick, you can be a dick. Otherwise, don't be a dick. Otherwise, just be nice. There's no reason not to. If you can't say anything nice, shut your damn mouth and just don't say anything at all. That's the best advice I can give you. I don't always follow it, but I'm telling you, your mother and your grandmother would have told you that. So, do it. Again, livedragracing.com, livedragracing.com is where you want to be. You're going to find out about drag and drive events, no prep events, all kinds of fun stuff. So livedragracing.com, go visit them. Again, everybody, thank you so much. Thanks to MacFab, Performance Speedlocks, and Motion Raceworks for always being a supporter. We do appreciate it here. And to all of you guys for joining us today, thank you. I know this was the abbreviated short one, but we want to get cruising along with our week as well. We will see you guys in 2 weeks. Have fun, stay out of trouble, and go drag racing. That's what it's all about. We want lots and lots and lots of drag racing. And I want all of you guys to enjoy the hell out of it. Okay, so that's an order. How's that? All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.